and welcome to Out of the Darkroom on Adorama TV. I'm Ruth Medjber and today I'm chatting with photojournalist Charles McQuillan. Thank you so much, Charles, for joining me on the show.
Thanks very much for having me.
Yeah, no, you're very welcome. I love your work. It's so varied, right? Can you just maybe give us a little bit of introduction about what it is you do, what's the main things you photograph, and then maybe tell us how you got into it?
Well, Ruth, I'm effectively a freelance photographer, and I string primarily for Getty Images in Ireland. I would shoot news, sport, features, primarily again, that would be my portfolio. A little bit of commercial work, but not too much. I started off in the darkroom of a local newspaper, the Ballymena Times. I'm going to shout out there. So I started in the darkroom and probably worked in the darkroom, working on everybody else's prints for about a year before I took a picture.
What was your first camera?
First camera was an Olympus OM10.
Cool.
Because David Bailey had an Olympus, and then I upgraded to an OM1 and I stayed with Olympus for the first part probably of my career. Which
brings me to the recent photo project you did about the bonfires, the 12th of July bonfires. So for everyone that's not Irish and that's watching this, maybe you could explain a bit about what the bonfires are and then about how you did it and why you did it.
Well, the bonfires are part of the Protestant tradition where they light bonfires on the 11th night, which signifies the start of the 12th of July. Which is an anniversary of a famous battle in 1690 between the Catholic King James and the Protestant-led forces of King William I. So the Protestants every year in the north, I don't think they do it so much in the south, although there is a couple of marches in the south. They have these big bonfires which are controversial and contentious because sometimes they're not in the most ideal places. Some of the things that are put on the bonfires, there's a lot of debate about them. So I have been photographing the bonfires throughout my career and generally speaking not conversing with the people who make the bonfires because some of it is quite intimidating. It's an intimidating area to go into.
Yeah.
So down through the years I had always photographed, arresting pictures but not
from afar,
from without really interacting. So through being tired of photographing the same thing and trying to think of, what would be more interesting for, not only for me, a challenge for me, but a challenge for the viewer looking at the picture, is if I photograph some of the people who make the bonfire. So although the bonfire may be in the picture, some of the pictures are not, your primary you're going to be focused in on the person rather than the object. So it's breaking down boundaries in a way that it starts a conversation, even if you don't approve of the bonfire. And there's a whole kind of social aspect to this as well. These people who maybe don't have a heck of a lot else are socially deprived. And this is a sense of pride for them. Building this here, and as I say, it's a contentious subject, but it begins a conversation.
And I think as well the way you handled it and the way you approached, from what I can tell, the way you approached the people who were building the bonfires to pose for you was in a way that it was mutually respectful. So they were kind of aware that you weren't going to tarnish them with the same brush as maybe previous press have done.
Yes. Well, I didn't want to appear to be sympathetic. I wanted to be neutral in my approach and in the photographs, so that it makes a decision of how the viewer looks at the picture, what they think. So the first one was difficult, but then each bonfire, each different location I went to became easier because I was showing the builders what I was doing from the previous bonfire, so they realised I wasn't trying to exploit them. Yeah. I wasn't trying to.
You weren't shooting them in a negative way or a nasty way, and they're going to come out of it looking as they are.
As they are.
Brilliant. So it's kind of opened up a relationship between fabulous portraits as well. They're amazing. And were they all just natural light, or did you bring stuff with you?
I brought one light because I just wanted to give it just an extra, just to lift it a bit. So it's just not. I think you could really only went one of two ways with that. Either you're going to shoot it with very, very little depth of field and just shot it on maybe on a prime lens, and not had much, you know, had no light at all, or to do what I did, which was to bring in a light just to kind of lift it a bit, just to make it slightly more moodier and lighting style anyway.
Gorgeous lighting style as well. One of what I think was the most powerful series of shots you did, and I have no idea how you did it, was you photographed your own heart surgery.
I did.
That's incredible. Tell us anything about that.
Well, it was kind of twofold, in as much as that obviously that was a very concerning time personally, but I thought, right, how can I wrest some control back? Because obviously you're very vulnerable when you're not well, or you're kind of at a loss that way. So I thought, right, I can take some control back. I can keep my mind busy, and I could maybe create something unique. So I researched into it. Had anybody done it before? No. And then obviously spoke to the surgeon, and he also had the same question. Had anybody done this before? And I says, no, nobody has. And he bought into it as well. He was a young surgeon, a fantastic surgeon, a specialist really, and Dr. Mark Spence. And that was really the starting point. So we got the Irish Times involved, who were interested in writing a piece around it. And that was the stepping off point. Wow.
So, I mean, I suppose it's crucial for him to be on board, the surgeon as well, right?
Absolutely. And as much as that we were able to say, right, we booked in the surgery time for first thing in the morning, which meant that I could set up my remote cameras in the operating theatre around me.
The day before?
Yeah, that morning I came in that morning and set everything up, and that we had that time clear to do that. Yeah. So, but I mean, obviously it wasn't just about, I didn't want it just to be about the surgery and it to be, you know, the kind of gory, but I actually wanted it to be more about the story of even just leaving the house, the reaction of the people around me, and some of the technical aspects of the surgery obviously as well. Yeah. So it kind of, it's that line through some of the projects I do. It's kind of maybe taking the viewer, you know, on a slightly different path, or showing them something, you know, here's this from this angle. So it's slightly different.
You definitely opened up eyes at that one. I mean, for sure. I've just to see it from your point of view.
But it's a simple idea. It's not that complicated, you know.
It's a simple idea, but it's amazingly executed. I think even the portraits of your family's in it, your kids, yes, and your partner's in it, and just, you know, sending the text message, that picture just threw me, because there's just such a sense of vulnerability, and I just imagine where you are taking that picture.
I'm keeping myself busy. It was such a, whenever you're lying on the operating table and, you know, you kind of, you know, you have the cameras, so you're kind of working the remote in your spare hand, and they have like an X-ray video grab kind of camera, which is taking pictures of your heart. So these are on 3 big screens, and on the left hand side, so you can actually see that, and everything is live. So you're kind of, well, plus 10 seconds. So you're kind of seeing all that.
And you're conscious through this whole thing.
You're conscious through this thing because you have to breathe and have to move in certain way at certain times. So it's the most surreal out of body experience you could ever possibly have, and you repeat that every time you look at the pictures. Personally, for me anyway, but even in the operating theatre, it was amazing watching the dynamic change from the doctors, the surgeons who were all there, who obviously you're almost in awe of in normal everyday life, and you put your entire trust in them, and you're just there just to, you know, they're in charge. But the moment the cameras went on, I should say, that completely changed. It was just like taking somebody's picture. Everybody visibly stiffened. Everybody kind of,
really?
Yeah, everybody's kind of was like, well, what do you want me to do? And I'm sitting there on the operating table, and they're asking me, what do you want me to do?
Do what you're good at,
yeah,
please.
Exactly.
You mentioned as well, just before we started chatting, that you do music as well, right?
I used to do it years and years ago. I was really into it, and I still probably would be really into it, but it just hasn't fallen that way. I kind of fell out of it for a while.
You photographed Prince, though.
I did photograph Prince.
Come on, like, who's photographed Prince?
The only way is down after Prince.
I know, right? So you stepped out of that. It's like, I've owned it now, onto something else. So.
Yeah, yeah, that was great.
So the story about how Prince found you is really exceptional.
Yeah, so I managed to wrangle a pass for, the first time I ever played in Ireland was Parky Creve down in Cork, but I was still working for the Ballymena Times, so there wasn't a lot of local interest in the Ballymena Times. So I got a pass and got down to it, and photographs, I was pleased with the photographs, but I had nowhere to use them. And then I noticed in one of the British music press magazines that he had, part of his organisation was based in London, who looked after his media interests and stuff. So I sent the pictures to them saying, like, if you could use them, you know, feel free. But obviously whenever you know, Ruth, when you've done music stuff, that you sign a waiver that, you know, you only supply the people you've said you're going to supply them to. So I was a little bit nervous because I was very young at the time. And then there was a phone call come through and I missed the call, and it was like, Princess, people in London would like to speak to you. And initially I thought,
copyright claim, oh no!
I'm in trouble. But he, they said, look, our photographer, our gig guy has left. Prince is going to play Blenheim Palace. Would you like to shoot it for us? Absolutely. Absolutely. So that was fine. The Blenheim Palace gig fell through. There was a riot between the Lord or whoever owned Blenheim Palace and Prince over sponsorship or something, one of the sponsors. So that was it, and the dream was over as far as I was concerned. That was it. But luckily enough, a month or so later, they said, look, would you like to come out to Minneapolis and shoot for 10 days? Paisley Park.
10 days?
Yeah, and Prince's nightclub, which was called Glam Slam at the time in downtown Minneapolis and stuff. And there was a listening party for the album at the time was Diamonds and Pearls, which is about to release. So that was, yeah, absolutely signed me up.
So it's not only on the pitch sports photography that you do, you also follow around a lot of surfers too, right?
I only follow one surfer.
One?
One surfer, yeah. It's almost an unwritten rule that surfers are it's very much a secret kind of pastime with secret wave spots. So they don't want everybody to know about certain spots. So whenever you get palled up with a surfer, you generally, you know, you're kind of two of you are locked in. It's almost like a partnership. Certainly with me and Alastair Mennie, who is a big wave professional big wave surfer from Portrush in Northern Ireland. That's how we work together. So it's very much a kind of partnership, an argument.
So cool. I had no idea about that. That's awesome. So you've got your surfer buddy then, and he's
my ginger brother from another mother. So he is.
Okay, I need to reference one amazing photograph that you took, and you've a print of it as well. Can we have a look at the print of it?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I saw it online, and I think I saw it in newspaper print. But oh my God, this is a whole other world of print. This is insane. So
this is a limited edition art print.
And this is your surfer buddy. This is Al.
This is Al.
Alastair. And the texture of this is incredible. So it's a fine art print then, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. It's absolutely beautiful. And so just look at the size of that wave. This is just like, I can't even get over this. It's outstanding. It's amazing. So this is what you and Al go and do, and
this is what we do in our spare time. Yeah.
It's hardly spare time now, is it?
No, there's a lot of time invested in that, Ruth, to be honest. I
mean, yeah, it'd have to be, right? Now, the thing about that shot, which I'd love to know more about, is the technical side of things.
Okay.
Because it looks like such a hard shot to capture, and your focus point is so perfect. So if you'll stick with me though, we're going to chat more about the technical side of things, about that shot and about all of your other shots in the next episode. Cool?
Cool.
Well, that's all we have time for in this episode, but do stick with us as Charles is going to be rejoining us and chatting about the technical side of his photography. If you'd like to brush up on your own photography skills, check out the Adorama Learning Centre, and if you want to watch more videos, then subscribe to our channel. Thanks, and I'll see you again soon.